No.
Yes, people stare, and she was arrested once. But Moira says that going topless in public is perfectly legal and promotes equality for women. So what do you think? How would you react if you saw a topless woman walking down the street, downtown Manhattan? With us now, topless activist Moira Johnston. I also have attorney Lisa Bloom, legal analyst for Avvo.com and best-selling author of Swagger. So Moira, fill us in here. Why did you decide to do this?
So I originally started going topless in a yoga studio. That was the first inclination I had to go topless. And for me, it was just a matter of comfort. In the state of New York, I was totally within my legal limit to go topless. And then when the weather started getting nice, I started to do activism in public places and wherever I can.
But is this something, Moira, that's bothered you for a long time? I'm just wondering about your motivation. Why did you've got to have to want to make a point. I mean, it doesn't suddenly occur to you one day to do this and you just do it. You must have been thinking about it for a while, right?
I actually wasn't thinking about it for a while, but there basically is like a double standard between men and women in our culture regarding exposing our bodies. A few times I've experienced now going out with a male counterpart, whether it be a friend or somebody I'm dating, and people actually ask the person that I'm with, who is a male, if they can take my picture rather than asking me personally.
All right, well, this is exactly why I brought Lisa Bloom in here, to help me sort this out. Lisa, I've never seen you giggle quite so much about a topic.
Wow. I have to say, this is the most difficult topic I think you've ever asked me to analyze.
Well, there we go. Which side are you going to fall on? You're
I think
ambivalent, right?
Well, look, on the one hand, I am 100% women's equality,
yes.
and I love people who take activism into their own hands and go out and try to take a stand.
So we should applaud more.
Okay, so yeah, and look, and when I read the court case, and she's right, it is legal in the state of New York, I was completely shocked to find out that that was the case. I thought for sure there was some mistake in these news reports that said it was legal. But it is, in fact, legal as long as it's not sexualized, which is not. She's just walking around. Well, and as long as it's not for a commercial purpose.
Oh.
You couldn't have Hooters send naked women out or topless women out, to promote Hooters. That would not be okay.
Does this have anything to do with laws around public breastfeeding?
Not exactly. It has more to do with decency. And in early 1990s, a group of women like Moira in New York said, we're going to take off our tops in a public park, and we're going to make the point that men can do it, women can't, and that's sex discrimination. And shock of all shocks, they won that case in the appellate courts in New York. I mean, if you had asked me this question on the bar exam, I would have gotten it wrong.
So, Moira, why do you think more people aren't aware of this? Or are you aware? Were you surprised when you became aware?
Yes, I was. I actually went to an all-women's college, and one of my fellow students told me that it was legal, and I just was so inspired by that.
What state? We're going to figure out which school.
That was in Pennsylvania. I went to Moore College of Art and Design for visual art. And
that's where you found out about the law in New York?
Yes, but I actually think that a lot of people don't know about it because it's not customary for women to go topless in public. And I understand that it's not as socially acceptable and there's safety issues involved. However, like for me, the first time I wanted to do it was in a yoga studio, and because people don't do it customarily, it had kind of this shocking response, and people complained about it and didn't know that it was legal.
Okay, well, let's see what our callers want to ask or know about this. David in California. David, you're up.
Hi there, Dr. Drew. How you doing?
We're good. What do you got for Moira?
I got a couple of 2 points. I was sitting here listening, and it even strengthened my points even more. Number one, a man's breast is not the same as a woman's. It is not a sexual thing, okay? You touch a man's breast, and it doesn't do anything for me.
Sometimes it is for some men.
Okay, no.
By the way, that's what the court said.
The court said that?
This is an interesting decision.
The other thing, sweetheart, is the danger, okay? There's a danger. This world, this society today, it is dangerous for a woman to walk around in public with her top off.
Okay.
Yeah, but see, but from a legal point of view, that argument doesn't get you anywhere because we don't infringe on women's rights in order to protect them. I mean, those arguments have been out the window for a long time.
And what did the court say about men?
So this was so interesting. They had social science research that said that men's breasts can be just as sexual as women's breasts.
Good
and
to know.
I defer to you on this,
good to know,
right?
Lisa. Thank you for that.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess that's true if you think about it.
It's not, but it's not. It's usually not a sexual image.
But they could be stimulated via their breasts.
They can be an erotogenic zone, correct?
That's what the court said.
I think one of the interesting questions here, and I think what David is I think what Moira would say about this is, are they so sexualized because they're so mysterious and covered? Is that what you'd say, Moira?
Yeah, I do think that covering the breast does make them more mysterious and more sexual. And what I'm doing, demonstrating since May, is that a woman can walk around and be safe and not be sexually assaulted on the streets of New York City.
Well, you know,
that's what my experience is.
Lisa, looking at Moira, she's not the person I would have expected to be taking this.
Why? Why not?
Just look at her. I just don't.
Because you look like a lovely young woman. I guess
No,
that's what it means.
no. It's just
Is that what
she
you're saying?
doesn't look like. I don't know what it is. Why you? Why are you the one doing this?
Why not her?
Why me? I guess I am one of the people who's willing to do it, so.
Well, and by the way, it's not just Moira. There are people all over the country. There are organizations that you can find online supporting women's right to go topless, and they've won court rulings in other jurisdictions as well. I mean, it's really shocking to me.
Well, and by the way, this decency issue is something sort of unique to the United States, right? A lot of countries, it's not a big deal.
Well, but usually it's on a topless beach or in a park, something like that. And, you know, if you have noticed this is a topless beach, I think most of us can be comfortable with that.
Got it.
What's interesting about what Moira's doing is she's walking around New York City topless. Although, Moira, I also think there's a little New York City factor going on here, because when we look at pictures of you walking around, everyone's just on their phone, texting, ignoring you.
Right, there's a lot of weird stuff goes on in New York.